Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Syracuse Basketball Postgame here. We're live on the Syracuse Orange Basketball Facebook page. We're live on our YouTube page as well. We are here presented by our friends at Krause Health, and we are coming off the heels of a Syracuse win, a bounce-back win for the Orange after blowing an 18-point lead to Pittsburgh Wednesday at the Carrier Dome. Syracuse bounces back against its rival Georgetown, a 74-69 victory, and it was what you would expect Syracuse-Georgetown to be. Syracuse in this game had a 16-point lead. That withered down. Georgetown was kind of chipping away at the end, but all told, Buddy Boeheim with 21 points, Joe Girard with 18 points, a good balanced all-around effort really for Syracuse in a lot of ways, as we'll get into. Robert Braswell with a huge block for Syracuse down the stretch, a momentum-changing block there. So he contributes solid minutes for the second straight game in a row off the bench. And anytime Syracuse can beat Georgetown, right, it's a good day. It's 9:26, and Georgetown, you know the rest, right? So we appreciate you being here live. We appreciate our friends at Krause Health for presenting our program here. Just a reminder that while we're live here, if you're watching us, we do put this on YouTube. It archives there on our Syracuse Orange Sports page. It goes in my recap on syracuse.com. Hope you guys can read that. It always shows up the next morning after a Syracuse basketball game. So the YouTube clip of that embedded there and also embedded on Facebook. So we're here live after every game, but if you miss it, certainly plenty of opportunities to catch up on this one. I'm riding solo tonight. My friend and colleague and co-host Mike Curtis is attending to some duties covering the game. So as always, you guys be my co-host tonight. Get in that comment section. I'll react to what you're saying here shortly, but let's go over some of the key things from this game tonight for Syracuse. First of all, shooting numbers. Syracuse 27 of 62, that's 43%. Georgetown 24 of 45, that's 43%. So it shows you how tight things were there. Syracuse goes 9 of 22 from the three-point line, that's 40%. Buddy Boeheim and Joe Girard providing a huge bulk of that. Georgetown finishes 11 of 32, that's 34% from the three-point line. Syracuse 11 of 14 at the free throw line, because free throws matter, of course. Same thing for Georgetown. They were 10 of 13, 34%. So both teams right around 78%, I should say, from the free throw line. Syracuse got badly out-rebounded by Pittsburgh in the last game, particularly in the second half. Not the case today. Syracuse wins the rebound battle 38-32, even with a huge player inside for Georgetown, who did not have the dominant game that you would expect a player like that to have, because Syracuse was scrapping inside, scrapping to the point where, you know, it's not Syracuse-Georgetown unless there's blood on the floor, right? Marek Dolzaj, I'm sure you saw it in the second half, but in case you didn't, took an elbow, and I don't know if he lost a tooth or he chipped a tooth. He looked like a hockey player out there. Never left the court, never left the game. They attended to him briefly, but he stayed out there, gutted it out. Syracuse-Georgetown, man. No blood, no foul, as they say. And even sometimes when there is blood, there's no foul. So just looking at a couple other numbers from this one, but important for Syracuse to win the rebounding battle, be committed to rebounding. Jim Boeheim said that at halftime that it was a real point of emphasis, and it should be after what happened. They actually went to halftime up 22-21 in the rebounding department against Pitt, but ultimately lost that battle by a mark of 49-33 last game. But Syracuse wins the rebounding battle in this one, 38-32. Points in the paint were even at 20, and I'll tell you, assist margin, much better for Syracuse tonight. They assisted 17 of 27 field goals in this game. So looking at the individual numbers for the Orange in this one, it was Buddy Boeheim who led the way with 21 points. Boeheim was 3 of 6 from three-point range, made a number of shots in the paint, confident shots in the paint as well. He was 9 of 18 shooting the ball. Overall, he struggled last game. Not the case tonight. Same thing for Joe Girard. He had 18 points in this game. He was 3 of 4 from three-point range. He even threw up that shot from Rochester that he tends to do once or twice a game. This time it went in, so we'll give Joe a break on that one. 3 of 4 at the free throw line. 8 assists on the day for Girard. That was key. You know, Girard's got his faults, particularly on the defensive end, but when he scores like he does tonight, when he distributes the ball like he does tonight, that's what you want to see out of your point guard. Alan Griffin kind of struggled in this one. You look at some numbers. He's got 9 points, 5 rebounds, few assists, but 1 of 7 from three-point range. You know, Alan is kind of an all-or-nothing player. And one complaint that Jim Boeheim's had about Alan Griffin, I've not seen the press conference tonight, but I was talking to Jim on my radio program on Thursday, and he's noted this a couple of times, that Alan gets pretty frustrated, and he's got to kind of let things go with the flow of the game. Allen's kind of an up and down player. He's a tremendous talent. He's really helped this Syracuse team. He's been pretty consistent throughout the year, 15 points in the last game, but tonight, not quite sharp. Quincy Guerrier back for the Orange after foul trouble against Pittsburgh. Didn't get the double-double, but came close. 12 points and 9 rebounds on the day. We mentioned the gutty effort from Marek Dolzaj playing through a broken tooth. 11 points, 9 rebounds for him. So he falls just short of the double-double as well, but a terrific game for him. Was really impressed by Robert Braswell's game. Now, you look at the numbers, the box score doesn't jump out at you here. He had 3 points on the day. He had which was a three-pointer, which he was left open for. He had 4 3-pointers in the last game. Couple of rebounds, couple assists, a block, 3 steals, though. And that's the key. Look, if you're going to crack the lineup for Jim Boeheim and you're kind of on that 8th or 9th spot, you better be a good defender. And Braswell, the last 2 games, have shown he can hold his own from on defense. He has 5 3-pointers in the last 2 games. You know, if you can hit the 3, if it's open, and you've got to make teams respect you on that 3-point line, which more and more teams are seemingly going to have to do. Braswell's doing everything right to get quality minutes off the bench. Now, Woody Newton didn't get much time in the last game against Pittsburgh because Syracuse was coming off the pause. He was in isolation for part of that time and just didn't have the practice time here. But Robert Braswell, for the moment, has kind of lapped Woody as a key contributor off the bench. I don't think Woody Newton's going anywhere. I think he's still going to play, but good competition there, and Braswell was great. Not the best day for Kadari Richmond. He only played 6 minutes in this one for the Orange. So this was the 96th meeting between Syracuse and Georgetown. This was the second of 2 games in a series. I would fully anticipate, and I would encourage Syracuse and Georgetown to continue this series. It was great that they got to play it even in a pandemic season where non-conference games got kind of shrink-wrapped, and they wedged it in here with ACC play underway. That's the last non-conference game of the year for Syracuse in the regular season. And hashtag Syracuse-Georgetown forever, if you ask me. This is something that has to endure, has to keep going. And this is why you keep these series going. Since Syracuse and Georgetown started playing after Syracuse left the Big East, they, let's see, I think the highest margin in the now, I think it's 6 games that Syracuse and Georgetown have played since the Orange left the ACC, or left the Big East for the ACC, pardon me, is 10 points. The games are competitive. You had a buzzer beater a couple of years ago with Tyus Battle. Last year, Syracuse plays Georgetown. They're down to 7 scholarship players, and they win the game. This is a great series. This is not just a rivalry you hang on to for old time's sake. I wrote a column this week. Hope you guys got a chance to check it out. I'm a huge fan of Cobra Kai. I know a lot of you out there watching probably watch Cobra Kai as well. That's what Syracuse-Georgetown is. It's the perfect link back to the past, right? You've got Daniel LaRusso. You've got Johnny Lawrence. Syracuse-Georgetown has Patrick Ewing and Jim Boeheim. But the new generation of players embraces this, moves it a step forward, makes these games competitive, and we got another chapter in that series tonight. I wouldn't necessarily put it down as a classic or, one of the Syracuse-Georgetown games that are going to stand out, but it was close, and it was competitive, and it was fun, and it was important for Syracuse to bounce back and play better on this night after they did a poor job holding an 18-point lead against Pittsburgh, and it was a good day all around. I don't know if you guys can see my shirt there, because there you go, baby. Buffalo, moving on. That game, I think I had 7 heart attacks during that game, so I couldn't take another cardiac Cuse moment tonight for Syracuse. But a good day if you're a Syracuse and a Buffalo Bills fan, right? So let's hop in and see what you guys are saying out there. Appreciate you checking in. Oh, I love this. Who's my man? Dustin from Kentucky. Fantastic. Bill checking in, saying that Braswell has made a believer out of me. Brian saying that Barama Sidibe very sore after practices leading to Pitt. Charles noting about when Barama's healthy and when he comes in. Yeah, Barama's not quite healthy yet. He's had some knee soreness. He was set to come back Wednesday. Didn't play in this game And you don't want to push that. You don't want to put somebody back out there too early, coming off of knee surgery, coming off of an injury like that. You want Barama healthy. There's still plenty of ACC games left, and they're holding their own without him. And Brian notes it here too. That block by Robert Braswell, what a terrific play. We have seen some great blocks this year. The Alan Griffin block, of course, that essentially sealed the game and sent it to overtime against Buffalo. Braswell catches Georgetown on a break and just used every inch of his frame, blocked it off the glass. Those are momentum plays. That's the biggest thing. There was, with about 5:10 to go, let me backtrack in my notes here. So that turned into a 5-point swing. That was the important thing about that. Braswell has that swat. It goes up the court, and Buddy sticks a three. So that makes it 68-61 with 5 minutes to go. And the other important thing there was Quincy Guerrier found himself in a little bit of foul trouble. He got his fourth foul shortly after that. Braswell's got to come in and anchor things on defense. So that's a big boy real-time opponent. I know Georgetown's maybe not, they've lost a bunch of leads this year. They're now 3-8 on the season, but Braswell's showing he could hang and he could play quality minutes, and he's pushing. And you got to have a special quality, right? If you're going to kind of nudge your way into the rotation, why am I putting you in? Well, when you can hit three-pointers, when you can defend, that's you're hitting the top two things that Jim Boeheim wants to see, and out of a big man as well. So Braswell's been a bit of a surprise here. There was some rumbles in the offseason. He might transfer and wasn't happy with his role, and settled in, came back, committed, and is now carving out a niche in a role for himself here. So good for him. As Maddie says here in the comments, did the dirty work, right? He absolutely did the dirty work on that one. Let's see. Jamie checking in from Ohio. Appreciate that. Saying, I'm still nervous every time Joe Girard touches the ball. I'd like to see Kadari more. It's a balance of how the game's going, right? Joe was hitting his shots tonight. Joe had 8 assists tonight. There's still moments where you kind of, slap your forehead and say, oh, Joe, what are you doing? But Kadari didn't have it tonight, and that's fine. I still think this is a positive for Syracuse. Buddy was hitting his shots, was on point offensively, so you're not going to mess with that, right? I hear what you're saying about Joe, but listen, Kadari Richmond came in last game and took 4 shots from the three-point line. He absolutely should not have taken. His shot selection was poor. There's a reason they left him open on the three-point line. He's got to learn that as a freshman, so you want that option. You want somebody that can, come in and anchor things down. Joe had a good game, and Joe's always going to have his moments where he does, like you said, he makes you nervous with the ball. I remember Jerry McNamara did that too, and that turned out okay, right? So this is not one of those games where we can really criticize Joe too much. Joe's had his fair share of bad games. Kadari's an impressive player. I like Kadari, but, the last 2 games, he's gotten a real dose of kind of real college basketball. He's got to make that adjustment. Joe was great, though, tonight. He hit the shots he needed to hit the shots he needed to hit. He was a little more composed in his shots, and the 8 assists was key. He made some great passes in this game, inside to Griffin, inside to Guerrier. Yeah, Joe looked like a point guard out there today, so I got to give him a shout out on that. Hey, there's our boy Devo, not Eric Devendorf, our boy Jeff DeVeronica. How you doing, Devo? And Devo says, give me odds on Joe Girard and Buddy missing 2 front ends in the final minute. Yeah, how about Girard missed the free throw? You would have lost a lot of money on that one if you would bet Girard. Well, actually, think of the odds you would have got on that, because Girard's one of the best free throw shooters in there. So you're not going to get good odds for him to miss on that. And he did, and Buddy does the same thing. So Syracuse-Georgetown, Jeff, there's got to be some drama at the end in that one. But all told, Syracuse pulls it out. John checking in from Cincinnati, Ohio, and he was asking a question about what we were saying a moment ago. Why doesn't Kadari start? He's the best player on the team. Do you think he'll Oh, John, settle down. Do you think he'll transfer? No, we're not there yet. He's had a couple of bad games. He's a freshman. He's learning, and he doesn't start because it doesn't matter who starts in Jim Boeheim's lineup. It matters who's out there when it matters. Deion Waiters never started a game at Syracuse. He did okay, right? 4th overall pick in the draft, nice NBA career, now has an NBA championship ring as well. First Syracuse player to win a ring since Marty Burns in 1980, and that's an amazing 40-year gap there. So let's calm down on the Kadari Richmond's going to transfer talk here, John. It's okay. Richmond knows what he's got to do. He's a freshman. You play when you're playing well is what it comes down to. And Girard was playing well, and he's the veteran, and he deferred, but there's going to be plenty of times when Kadari's going to have to come in and save the day. Nick talks about shot selection, and yeah, that's certainly been an issue for Syracuse this year. But they moved the ball a lot better tonight. I mentioned the assist ratio, 17 assisted buckets on 27 field goals. Their ball movement was a lot better. Defense, I think, was better than the Pitt game, particularly in the paint. Pitt just destroyed Syracuse inside. And let's keep in mind, Guerrier only played, 13 minutes in that game. He was in foul trouble. No Barama in that game. You're losing big bodies in that one. But, when Georgetown, let me look at the numbers here while we're talking about him here, because, boy, Qadis Wahab, what a player he is. But tonight didn't dominate in the way you think he could. Played 20 minutes. He had 9 points. And to come out of that game with 1 rebound from, what is Wahab at, 6'11" these days? That's a good effort for Syracuse there, because that's a player who, if he really got going, and Georgetown, I'm surprised they didn't really focus on getting him the ball and getting Guerrier and Dolge into foul trouble and trying to own the paint a little bit more. We mentioned points in the paint were even in this game, but it was a lot of drives. It was a lot of balance play there, not just one big man dominating there. So you got a 6'11" dominant player like that in there, but Syracuse certainly held their own without him at this point. I like what Jeff says here, our boy Devo, that MCW equals Kadari Richmond. That's a terrific comparison. And remember, Michael Carter-Williams in his freshman year could not shoot the ball. Improves his shot, has the wingspan at the top of the zone, and turns into an NBA player. He's the rookie of the year in the NBA. I mean, frankly, that was a pretty weak rookie class that he won, but he's got the trophy in his case, no matter what I say about that. Hey, Scott, Cuse fanatic all the way in Cali. Hope things are well on the West Coast. My friend Brian Levy. Yeah, Wahab was in Syracuse's crosshairs recruiting-wise at one point, but as it goes in recruiting, you can't get them all, right? Blake says, I think Syracuse is saving Barama for North Carolina, making sure he's healthy, as they should, by the way. You don't want to push it. You want your players healthy. It's a tricky thing, too, because they had the big pause. Knee surgery. God bless Barama. That guy's had plenty of injuries. And we were starting to see him really blossom into a terrific player, particularly at the end of last year. Gets into another injury situation, his 3rd injury with Syracuse. So especially with Barama, you want to be really careful with him because he's been down this road before. By the way, as noted there, if you didn't see, I'm sure most of you did, that Syracuse is now playing North Carolina Tuesday night. They were originally slated to play Clemson at the Carrier Dome. It is now North Carolina at North Carolina. Syracuse will play North Carolina at the Dome as scheduled March 1st, but Clemson had a COVID situation with their program. So, boy, with 3 pauses already, I heard that news the other day, and you just want to smack your forehead and say, not again. And for the second time, it would have been actually 3rd time, because Buffalo had a positive case, which caused Syracuse's pause. Florida State was supposed to play Syracuse Wednesday. They had a COVID spot, so the flip-flop with Pitt. Clemson was supposed to come to the Dome Tuesday. Instead, Syracuse will go to North Carolina Tuesday night, and it's a 9 o'clock start. We'll be here with you right after the game at about 11 o'clock or so keep that in mind for Tuesday night. A couple more comments from you guys. Tony says we need his body against their bigs. Yep, Carolina's got some bigs, and I would certainly anticipate Barama is going to play in that game. Jeff saying, did you know he was a high school scoring champion? These announcers share that anecdote about 12 times a game. Yeah, when Dave O'Brien, who called the game tonight, he's a Syracuse alum, former voice, or I think he still calls Red Sox games, right? He's a good one. He knows all the stories. But yeah, there's a lot of those broadcaster nuggets. I know. I've done these games. I've prepared for these games. I've called play-by-play. There's just kind of certain narratives you kind of lean on. But just in case you didn't know, New York State high school scoring champion, averaged 50 points a game. Did you know that? What's up, JR Diamond says, why does Griffin seem to disappear during the game? The next Chris Joseph. Well, Chris Joseph was a pretty solid player. So I would, if that's the road Quincy's heading down, then I think he's heading down a good one there. Quincy appeared, by the way, in what I would call a pretty reputable NBA mock draft this week. Sam Vesney from The Athletic does a great job covering the NBA draft. He's tapped in. He knows all the GMs and people and scouts in the NBA. And Quincy ended up, now it's the last pick in his mock draft, but he ended up 60th in that one. Point made, though, and this happened in the last game. I think the lesson Quincy's got to learn is, now that he's in his second go-round with the ACC, is being smart about how you foul, right? This was the issue with Marek and Barama last year, and it's the lesson that Quincy's going to have to learn this year. Game in, game out, you're going to get big physical bodies coming at you. It's great what Quincy did in the first part of the season, and I still think he could be a first-team All-ACC player, but fouls are going to be an issue for him. He's got to be smart about how he defends. The foul where he hit the elbow, the guy was going up for the dunk, he got the elbow, the fourth foul there late in the game, not a smart play there. So that's something he's going to have to learn. So I don't think it's necessarily disappearing. I think it's just Quincy getting used to the rigors of, kind of game in, game out, tough opponents. But he's a big physical guy, much smarter around the basket. He had a three-pointer tonight, had a smooth three. You can't leave him open from that three-point line. So Quincy's a guy I'm really high on, and I think is going to be a great player. But it is noted, JR. He's GR, pardon me. He's going to have to really watch it on the fouls there. There are plenty of good dentists in Syracuse, Neil, for sure, and Marek is going to have to go visit one. Oh my goodness! Takes a shot. He's smiling. You can see all sorts. It looked like a hockey puck hit him in the teeth, but he stayed in. Didn't leave the court. I couldn't. That happened to me. I'd be running for mama. He's out there playing a basketball game. He's a hockey player. He was in there. Fantastic. Griffin. Did you ask about Griffin, or I thought you said Gary? My fault. Griffin's an up and down player. Griffin is, think of that Buffalo game, right? He was struggling for a little bit, hits a couple of threes, gets the big block. Wednesday's game, Syracuse lost that game, but he led them with 15 points, 8 rebounds. He made a couple of bad plays down the stretch defensively, but made another block in that game, had a key 3. He's an athletic player. He's a confident player. He can shoot from the wing. He can drive when he wants to. But the thing with Griffin is it's a confidence thing. I noted a little earlier in the show that Jim Boeheim said this week that he gets way too frustrated out there. He's got to let things go. So we've kind of seen a weakness in Griffin's game when he's moving and grooving and playing great. He gets in that flow. But, one thing, say all you want about Joe Girard and Buddy Boeheim and players of that ilk, when they're having bad games, they just let it go. Shoot or shoot, right? You got to get over those shots. You got to get over bad plays and just keep going. So that's something that Griffin's really going to have to really work on here. And that just comes with the flow of the game. And, he's a transfer, still getting used to things. Syracuse has missed up to like 25 practices at this point. Hopefully they'll start to get into a groove, and these pauses will be at a minimum. They almost had another one Tuesday night, but they managed to flip the Clemson and North Carolina game. So that's sure. But I like Griffin a lot, but it's more of a mental thing at this point than anything. Who is Mike Curtis? My co-host Mike Curtis is not here tonight. He is covering that game that we are discussing right now, the post game and everything. And he's a terrific young writer who is going to be a star, already a star in my mind, but on the way to stardom in the journalism world, Devo. So keep an eye on that young man. He's going to do big things. And it's a pleasure to work with him, just not here tonight. All right, what do you say we end there for the evening? Speaking of writing, I'm going to get cracking on my recap. I hope you guys can read that. Comes out the morning after each Syracuse basketball game. We'll be back here live Tuesday night, maybe into Wednesday morning. Who knows, depending on how long that game goes, because Syracuse and Carolina is a 9 o'clock start. This does archive on YouTube, though. Find it on the Syracuse Orange Sports YouTube page. It's embedded on Facebook for those of you watching on Facebook. And I always pop the YouTube in my recap, as mentioned, as well. Thanks to our friends at Krause Health. Thanks to you guys for hanging out. As always, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go Bills. And we'll talk to you again Tuesday night here on Syracuse Basketball Postgame.